Hello, Talkback.
Good morning.
Good morning. This sounds like Mayor Stockford.
That it is. Good morning, gentlemen.
From Hillsdale. Good morning, Mayor. How you doing?
Pretty good.
What can we do for you this morning?
Oh, I was just calling in to discuss some of the issues at the library in Hillsdale, and I thought that might be of interest to your listening audience this morning.
Yes, we have had quite a bit of discussion over the last couple of weeks on that issue, and we'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
I mean, we're still feeling out this ordinance on whether or not requiring a school board member to the library board is representative of self-government. We're dealing with a lot of passionate community members regarding their views on sexually suggestive books in the children's section, or LGBT books in the children's section, or Hillsdale can be a fiery community, and I love it for that. But I really am doing my best to try to temper passions, keep some of the more fiery residents from calling each other names, and hopefully we can just get through this in the next month or so and keep the community intact.
Well, one council member, and I don't recall which one, but at the committee meeting this week said that they'd gotten more feedback on these issues than they did on the abortion issue when the council was considering that. So
I would say that's accurate, because the school board and Hillsdale Community Schools is tied up in this as well, and we all know that schools are big institutions that employ a lot of people, so there's just a lot of interested parties. So yeah, I would say that's accurate. I do want to point out that we get these social issues in front of us, and the council chambers just fill with half the community coming in to say their piece. But we're up there every other week on Monday, spending millions and millions of tax dollars on things, and you just never hear a peep from anybody when we're spending their money. And I just really want the community, and all communities in general, to take a step back and what I'd like to see is this sort of participation on all of those things, because this is all important stuff that government deals with. So.
But back to the proposed ordinance change, Mayor, now that the committee has sent it to the full council for consideration, that's not going to be something that's voted on at the next council meeting, correct?
No. So when you change ordinances, you have to have a public hearing. When you have a public hearing, you have to set a public hearing. So at the next council meeting, we will set a public hearing to have discussion on the items, which allows the public to... basically what it does is it designates a public comment period specifically for that issue. Mm-hmm. So no, it will not be on the agenda for the April 3rd meeting. It would be on the agenda for the April 17th meeting for full discussion and consideration before the council in the form of a public hearing, which, like I said, would designate a portion of the meeting just for public comment on that one issue.
And recognizing that you were not mayor when the language was put into the city code regarding the placement of a school board member on the library board, but are you familiar enough with the history of it? Was that something that Hillsdale City Council originally put in place, or was it something that community members voted to add to the code?
I'm not exactly sure on the history of it. From everything that I've gathered, it's been there for about 44 years. I'm not sure. I haven't had an opportunity to speak with any members of who would have been members of council at the time to find out exactly what the thinking was. My assumption is it would be about cooperation with Hillsdale Community Schools. I'm not sure how many libraries the community schools had themselves at the time. So, at this point, Hillsdale Community Schools in general has 3 or 4 libraries that are their libraries.
Right.
So.
But do you know what the problem actually is. I mean, I heard the presentation, but that's the school board representative is one of 5 on the library. Why suddenly is it so important to not have a representative appointed by or named by the school board? What is the problem with that?
Can I be honest with you?
Sure. That's what we want.
Okay. Yep. I'm going to be honest with you and with your listening crowd. So essentially, the issue came up about the process for the appointment. And the fact of the matter is, I had a school board member who reached out to me and wanted to be appointed to the board. I told them, yes, I would appoint them to the board. A few days later, I had another school board member contact me and say that they wanted to be appointed to the board, to which I told them, I already have a school board member that has reached out to me, so I'm going to add him for appointment. Well, it was about a week after that, I got an email from the superintendent that said that's not how we do it. That's not the school board's process. The school board's process is they, as a full committee, pick a member. And to which I told the superintendent, well, the city charter actually doesn't speak to process. All it says is that the appointments are the mayor's prerogative, and I've already chosen a candidate, but I'm willing to work with the school board cooperatively to cement this or to listen to whatever their conventional wisdom is. So it probably was a few days after that I started getting emails that the school board had already picked who would have been the second candidate to contact me. Now, brass tacks, like I said, complete honesty. I have, Hillsdale's a very conservative community. I have gone out of my way to appoint people with differing views to boards. And the way that it sits right now, there are 2 conservative-minded people on the library board, and there are 2 what I would call liberal-minded people on the library board, leaving this third seat as what would be the swing vote on. And like I said, what this is really rooted in are the discussions about sexually suggestive or sexually explicit items in the children's section in the library. So there's a lot of passionate people behind those arguments on both sides. One side is protect the children, the other side is protect books, protect access to information. And so the candidate that the school board put forth was the chair of the Democratic Party of Hillsdale County, which Democrats are a small constituency in Hillsdale County, but they do exist and they do deserve representation on boards because they're community members. But this would essentially give Democrats, the Democratic Party, whatever you want, people with liberal-minded views, as the majority on the library board in the midst of a very divisive issue. So of course the community is going to get fired up.
Well, but apparently the answer to that has been, for Mr. Palladino, let's get rid of the school board's option to have a member. You have appointment power. Why can't it just be settled by you saying, no, I am appointing the other school board member. As mayor, I can do that, instead of just trying to get rid of the ordinance?
So maybe that's the direction we'll end up going in. And, honestly, I will accept my own responsibility in this, is that I stalled the appointment for 2 months because I was concerned about what was going to happen in the community when I brought the appointment forward. And I was getting a lot of pressure from city administration and also from certain people in Hillsdale Community Schools to just go ahead and make the appointment, and politics shouldn't matter. But, city council is a political board. Politics are going to matter. And these are political issues. Politics are going to matter. So I finally gave in and said, you know what, I'm just going to bring the appointment forward and let the chips fall where they may. Well, sure enough, Hillsdale City Council denied the appointment.
What would you have done if you had been there that night?
What I would have done is pulled the appointment at the beginning of the meeting and to explore the ordinance change. The reason that I would have done that is because of the correspondence I got from residents in between the agenda going out and the meeting. By that point, I I had fully realized how invested this community is in this issue, and how, I mean, we've got, people going around calling people Nazis, and the other side calling people pederasts, and it is really unfortunate that this issue has struck such a nerve in the community. And I keep trying to tell people I really feel like this is the divisive politics that are happening nationally and at our state level are just seeping into our community, like I'm sure they do in Adrian. But I am surprised how much this library issue has struck a nerve in this community. And on top of it, we just had an election in November that saw two candidates who were on opposite sides of this spectrum run against each other, in which was, my race was, I got almost 90% of the vote. I had an opponent, but there was one ward in the city that was a very close, somewhat close, I would say, election. It would have been the most passionate one, and it was Ward 4. It was the seat that Josh Palladino ultimately won. So this has been going on for a long time, and these are hard feelings spilled over from the election in November, and these are hard feelings spilled over from the controversy we had at the library in May that saw, one library board member resign, and myself have to pick a successor, and I ended up picking somebody that leaned on the moderately liberal side of things, because I thought if I give somebody what they want, then somebody's going to be upset. So I decided at that point, I'll just appoint somebody that nobody wants at the time, I let So it's really, my position's really hard, and, I signed up for it myself, but the fact of the matter is, it seems like every decision I make, and this is indicative of local politics, but I upset 50% of the people and make 50% of the people mad. So.
Well, that's not only at the local level, it goes anywhere.
It goes. I understand. Well, Mayor, we appreciate your call anytime. Feel free to call and weigh in on this. I always appreciate hearing
or any
from
other
you.
topic.
Yes.